And we're live. Welcome to the show, guys, and welcome to Mr. MYRON Gaines, who joins me. Mr. MYRON Gaines of Pandemic Pickup, of Unplugged Fit, etc., etc. How you doing, sir? Good to see you.
So, Troy, how you doing, man? Morning.
Really good, really good.
Well, actually, it's afternoon in London, right?
It's afternoon, yeah. What time is it now? It's like it's 4 o'clock actually in the afternoon, so it's getting on a little bit. But really good, really good. Hang on.
Actually, it's afternoon in London, right?
It's afternoon, yeah.
Love when that happens.
hang on.
No worries.
Right, okay, so good to have you on. We've been talking about obviously getting you on the show for a little while. We've known each other for a while. I think predominantly through John from Modern Life Dating, who I guess obviously exactly who we both worked with. You've obviously worked with him extensively on Pandemic Pickup. I've worked with him on Body Language Mastery, and we're both very involved in his sort of circle of things, if you like. But I was really keen to get you on to have a chat about a couple of things, because obviously you're a great guy in yourself, but also you're now creating your own content, aren't you? You have your own YouTube channel, you've got your own social media, and so on and so forth. So would you like to sort of just introduce yourself to the guys, anybody who doesn't know who you are, and sort of tell them what you're all about and what you're doing at the moment?
Yeah. So, guys, MYRON Gaines. I'm out of Miami, Florida. Troy, thanks for having me on. I'm 30 years old, guys. I'm big into fitness, and basically I started my fitness business on the premise of basically giving you guys like the red pill truth when it comes to fitness, like the truth in fitness. Because let's face it, the fitness industry is filled with a bunch of charlatans, a bunch of scammers telling you some bullshit like fit teas and waist trainers and fat burners, when in reality, none of that shit works. It's the rudimentary basics that are free that get you most of the results. And the problem is that the industry can't profit telling you that, that you need to sleep, you need to train correctly, you need to get proper volume in. You got to, base your training around resistance training if your goal is to look good naked. So all these fundamentals that no one advertises, because you can't monetize it really telling people the truth. So that's kind of where I stepped in, and I'm like, listen, guys, we all know that the dating market, there's they lie on that about how to get girls. And now I'm applying that same truth with fitness. Now, as far as like talking to girls and game and all other stuff, I live in Miami, so obviously you have to learn that stuff, or else you're going to have a hard time meeting women here. So it's made me very good at just understanding females, how to date, how to convey yourself properly, demonstrate higher value without necessarily being a try-hard. I do frequent the nightlife scene here in Miami, so that's made me pretty good at navigating the nightlife as well, doing night game. So that's just a little intro on me, guys, so you know who I am. And yeah, thank you for that. So there's two big subject areas here that I wanted to get into with you today. The first one is obviously fitness, because that's your thing, and you're if people are following you on Instagram, what's your Instagram, by the way? It's Unplugged. It's Unplugged Fit. Yeah, it's Unplugged Fit on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I have a Facebook page as well. But yeah, and then my website is unpluggedfitnesslife.com. You can set up a consult there with me for a fitness consult or whatever. And guys are actually starting to hit me up for like dating shit now too. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I mean, if you want, I'll refer you to Troy or John. They're like that's like their profession. But like, if you want like some basic stuff on how to deal with girls at clubs or bars or run IG game or any of that stuff, because I do all that as well. It's just like a side thing that I do because I enjoy it. But
yeah. Well, so obviously I want to get into the red pill fitness stuff first, because I think that's really interesting. And then I'm really keen to just talk about night game with you and get into a bit about the Miami scene and your strategy, because John, Modern Life Dating, has said you are one of the best night gamers that he's ever seen in real life. And I'm sure that that's the case. Exactly. Yeah. I'm sure that's the case, just seeing your vibe and seeing the way you come across and everything like that. So on this channel, I talk a lot about attraction and sort of like the sort of chemistry of attraction, and a lot about the mindsets behind attraction and all of that kind of thing. And when I talk about game techniques, I probably veer towards talking more about daytime approach, because that's more what I'm doing now. So whereas I mean, obviously I used to do a lot of night game, but I do it less now. So it's really helpful to have you on to fill in the gaps a little bit and sort of talk about some of the night game stuff as well.
I'd be happy to,
exactly. So, and also I'm just really interested to find out a bit more about the scene in Miami and so on. I saw a really interesting program the other day actually on Netflix about it was one of those cheesy sort of drug bust kind of programs, and they showed Miami at the Winter Music Festival, and they actually, I don't know how the hell they did it, but they filmed these dudes who were like dealers, and they were sort of saying, yeah, we're going to make so much money over this weekend and blah blah blah, and it looks a pretty crazy scene down there for sure.
Yeah, there's a bunch of fucking clubs that are known for that shit, which I can go into with you for you guys. Like me personally, I stay out of those places because it attracts a certain crowd of people that I don't like, but I can definitely give you guys the ins and outs of nightlife here in Miami.
Well, I think we've spoken about this before, but I mean, I like all that music. I mean, and I have been to Miami. I've been to Miami many years ago on a brief trip with a girlfriend at the time, when we stayed on Ocean Drive or near there.
Okay,
whatever. We're doing this that kind of holiday, but I haven't been since, and I've always kind of been tempted to go for the Winter Music.
It's changed a lot, man. You need to come back. It's changed a lot. Like the city has improved a lot. Like the thing about Miami is that people always like think of Miami, and where they really go is they go to South Beach, which is really Miami Beach. But the city of Miami itself has improved significantly in the nightlife scene, and now I would argue that it might even be better than going to party on South Beach in the city of Miami, which we could definitely go into deeper things on that. But
for sure. I was just, what we've said before is, as much as I think we both love house music, we both love that clubbing scene, etc. As far as dating and girls are concerned, it's probably not the best environment. Because they're all off their faces. They're all there just to see whatever DJ it is they want to see, and it's kind of not very conducive to sort of game, really.
Yeah, like run it, like, because I've been an ultra pretty much like every year since 2017, and running game at music festivals, it can be done. I've met some really cool girls and stuff like that, but it's not optimal. You know what I mean? And to be honest, night game isn't optimal either from a return on investment standpoint. But I enjoy it. But it's something that if you enjoy it and you like the atmosphere and something, you could definitely ace it. But let's just turn our attention to the fitness stuff for now, because I thought let's kick off with the fitness. So I'm really keen just to get your overall sort of philosophy, I suppose, about fitness and about what guys need to do to get into shape, because I'm the one area that I don't really touch very much on this channel or in my stuff at all is fitness and working out and so on. It's not because I don't do it, because I do, but I'm just not that guy. Do you know what I mean? I'm just not an expert, even though I've been going to the gym for many years. I've had different trainers, I've done different things and stuff like that. But you know, I'm not exactly a paragon of like sort of getting yoked or anything like that. So it's helpful to have you on. And you know, to get some dudes on who've got expertise in this area, because clearly it's something that guys need to get a handle on if they want to get optimal success in the dating arena, right? Yeah. So when it comes to fitness, guys, my philosophy, and you know, I agree with John 100%. You know, shout out to John from Modern Life Dating. You know, make muscles, make money, learn game. And the make muscles portion, guys, it's probably one of the best ways to equalize yourself in the dating market nowadays. Because let's face it, man. Girls have more options than ever before. Troy did an awesome video on the globalized sexual marketplace, how women have more options than ever before. You guys should definitely check it out on his YouTube channel. It was like probably one of the best breakdowns explaining it, and why basically as a man in 2020, you have to get the sex life that most guys want, right? Which only 5% of guys actually experience. You have to be an apex male. And to be an apex male, you got to get your fitness handled. So when it comes to fitness, there's obviously many different ways, right? To get in shape. You got CrossFit, you got traditional resistance training, you got bodybuilding, you know, circuit training, whatever it may be. For me, I basically train like a bodybuilder, and I prioritize resistance training, and I rarely, if ever, do cardio. And to be aesthetic, because that's what most guys want to be, is like you want to look good naked, essentially. Resistance training needs to be the cornerstone of your training, you know. And a lot of people make the cardinal mistake of thinking that cardiovascular activity is going to be responsible for most of their fat loss, when in reality, it's eating in a calorie deficit and making sure that you sustain that calorie deficit for a prolonged period of time, and making it sustainable so that you lose the weight nice and slow over a period of time, so that you actually lose that body fat. And people think about losing weight, when in reality, what you really want to think about is losing body fat. And to lose body fat, that comes from a deliberate yet slight calorie deficit that's sustainable over a long period of time. You just keep going down until you hit an acceptable body fat. Now, as far as like getting girls, guys, here are the guidelines. 1.6 shoulder to waist ratio, right, is what most women find attractive. And then as far as like body fat levels that are most aesthetic, you want to be somewhere between, I would say, 12 at the highest to about 7%, 7 or 8%, which is pretty fucking ripped. To give you guys a frame of reference, if you're stepping on stage and you're a competitive bodybuilder, they're stepping on stage that is somewhere between 4 to 6% body fat. So you don't have to be stage shredded. Actually, you don't want to be stage shredded if you want to be aesthetic to women, but you want to have visible abdominals. You want to have some vascularity going. And the way to do that is 100% resistance training, proper diet, sleep, and these types of things.
Yeah, because I was referring to your Instagram before. I mean, you're pretty ripped. I mean, no,
thank you, man.
no homo or anything, but yeah, you're pretty ripped. You're in really good shape. So clearly, what you're doing is working. So I guess there's two sorts of extremes, isn't there? So you've got guys who might be watching who are very overweight, and then perhaps you've got guys who are skinny or underweight. And I guess for both of them, there's going to be a different approach to this. But it's interesting what you're saying about cardio, because I mean, my take on this has always been the same as you. It's always seemed to me that for aesthetics, you need to do resistance training. Having said that, I do quite like cardio, and because of the lockdown and because the gyms have been closed, I've been doing quite a lot of cardio just recently. I've been like going for runs most days and going for bike rides and stuff like that. But that's more just through necessity than anything else. Mm-hmm. But what you're saying is, if a dude is overweight, he might think, right, I'm going to get my running gear on and I'm going to sort of like start running every day. But that's not the way to go, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, no. So and I do have a background. So I went to college, guys, at Northeastern University in Boston, and actually rode Division I for 4 years. So I definitely have a background in endurance training, because rowing is 100% an endurance sport. It's one of the most difficult things I ever did. But the thing is that what I learned was that if your goal is fat loss, and basically, so you always want to maximize muscle gain and or retention while also maximizing fat loss, right? So you want to preserve lean body mass while losing the maximum amount of fat that you can, so you can increase your lean body mass to fat ratio. So the way to do that is prioritizing the weight training and putting yourself in a slight calorie deficit. And for guys that are super obese, you don't have to do cardio, because 9 out of 10 times, guys that are like super obese, you'll probably get by just on putting yourself in a slight calorie deficit and resistance training. That alone is probably going to be so significant and such a strong stimuli to your body that you're going to make some awesome gains just from doing that. So one of the biggest mistakes that like obese people make when they first start exercising is they go from 0 to 1,000, and they start working out 4 or 5 days a week. They start running. They start eating nothing but salad or restricting carbohydrates. And this is a short-term solution to a long-term problem, because fitness is a marathon and you need to be able to sustain it for life. So if you're doing like things that are unsustainable, that like not eating carbohydrates, hating your life, exercising too much, you'll lose weight quickly, but your body is also going to compensate by acclimating very quickly to that. And there's something called metabolic adaptation, which for the guys that follow me on Instagram and stuff, you guys know that I'm really big into the studies. I always cite my sources when it comes to anything that I put up. But without going into it too much, the more drastic your diet, the quickly your body's going to acclimate to said diet and training activity. So I always put my clients on the minimum effective dose, where they're making the maximum amount of gains while also being able to like not kill themselves, so that we can do it long term. Slow and deliberate is always better, because you're going to lose that weight and keep it off, more importantly.
Yeah. The one question is, if you say to somebody, right, you've got to have a calorie deficit, so effectively you've got to eat less, or you've got to eat less calorific food. Is that a problem as far as doing the training is concerned? Because you need a certain degree of energy, don't you, in order to train hard? So does that become an issue, or how does that work?
So the key is, and this is a really good point you brought up. So the key is to put yourself in a slight calorie deficit. You never want to be like, let's say to maintain your weight, 2,000 calories is your total daily energy expenditure, which that's just a fancy term, or TDEE. That's a fancy term for your maintenance calories. So if your maintenance calories is 2,000, you want to go, I would say 250 to 300 calories below that, very slight deficit. It's basically a protein bar. and then start there and see how much weight you're losing. Now, as far as like an acceptable amount of weight to lose per week, as long as you're losing somewhere between half to 1% max of your total body weight per week, you're good. So for a 200-pound man, that's about 2 pounds per week max that you want to lose. If you're a little bit more obese, then yeah, Michael Price brought up a good point. Yeah, keto and IF are effective short term. Yeah, I mean, they're just tools to put yourself in a deficit, right? So the secret, well, before me getting into that, so yeah, so what I was saying was, you want to put yourself in that slight deficit, lose 0.5% to 1% of total body weight per week, and then that way you'll be able to sustain it long term. Your fat loss is going to be slower, but you're minimizing metabolic adaptation, you're maximizing adherence, and you're putting yourself on a path to success.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Somebody's asked, Shane here has asked a question. I guess this is getting a bit more into specific exercises now. So do you want to tackle that now, or should we just talk a little bit about what the skinny dude should do? Or do you want to, which way around do you want to do?
I can answer this one quickly and I'll go right into what a skinny guy should do.
Yeah,
so,
cool.
Cause this one's the easy one. So Brad Schoenfeld, they did a study a couple of years ago on hitting a body part 1 time per week, or doing hitting multiple body parts multiple times per week. And what they found was training frequency of 2 to 3 times per week of training a body part was superior to only training it 1 time per week. So for the guys listening, doing chest one day, then legs one day, then back, that's probably not optimal. The best thing to do is do a push-pull legs routine, or do an upper body, lower body rest, or you could do a full body workouts 3 or 4 times per week. And you're probably going to get a better result from doing that, because frequency helps you it basically lets you separate the workout so that each set that you do per body part is higher quality. So for example, if you do a chest day, right, you go in there, you do incline bench, then you do a flat bench, then you do decline, then you do flies. By the time you get to flat bench, you're not going to be as strong because it's your second exercise or your third exercise, versus if you had just done, let's say, incline bench on Monday, then you come in on Tuesday or Wednesday and you do flat bench, and then you do the next day you do decline bench. Each of those sets that you do on those subsequent days is going to be higher quality because you're going to be able to pound out more weight. And we know that volume is the biggest driving force for hypertrophy. So if you can get better quality sets by separating your workouts, you're better off doing that. So to answer the question, nice and distilled, 2 to 3 times per week is superior to only 1 time per week.
Cool.
And then you said skinny guys, right?
Yeah. So if a dude is effectively underweight, what would you recommend that he does to get into optimal shape?
So, okay. And I can speak to this because I was actually skinny myself, and I was really skinny, guys. In high school, I graduated high school in 2008. I was 164 pounds, and I'm 6'3". So I had my whole life, it was hard for me to gain weight. So the trick is you want to put yourself in a calorie surplus, and that basically means eating more calories than you need. So let's say that same person is skinny and 2,000 calories, how they maintain their body weight. I would go no more than 500 calories surplus. I would do it even a little bit more conservative, 250 to 300 calories surplus, and then slowly focus on gaining week per week, month to month. And that way, when after you're done with your muscle gaining phase, you can go and do a deliberate cut, which is basically a period of time where you go in a calorie deficit and you can focus on cutting. Now, for beginners, a lot of guys can actually build muscle and burn fat at the same time, because the weight training, if you're a beginner, and basically a beginner is anyone that has less than a year of regimented experience, the stimuli of weight training is so strong that your body's probably it's a very, very good chance that you'll be building muscle and burning fat at the same time, which is basically simultaneously increasing your lean body mass while it's still losing fat mass simultaneously, which is definitely possible for beginners. So I would say slight calorie surplus and train in the gym 3 to 5 times per week using compound movements, and making sure you get adequate protein. That's a thing that a lot of guys fuck up on, is they don't eat enough protein.
And what sort of sources of protein would you recommend? I mean, are you kind of like a steak and eggs guy, or just the usual kinds of things like fish, oily fish, like steak, meat, different things, or what do you recommend?
So when it comes to protein sources, so I know the vegans are going to get mad at me for saying this, but the studies do show it. Animal protein is by far superior to plant-based protein. Now, with that said, before everyone gets mad at me for saying that, you can absolutely build a great physique as a vegan. I got one of my friends a vegan. He's fucking competitive bodybuilder. You can absolutely build an excellent physique. The thing is, though, is if you are vegan, you're going to have to probably consume more protein than someone who's plant-based, because the quality of your protein isn't going to be as high, because plant-based protein lacks a branched chain amino acid called leucine, without getting into the science of it. Leucine is very important for kickstarting muscle protein synthesis, aka the process of forging new lean body mass. And since it has less leucine content, you're going to need to consume more of the plant-based protein to get the same effect as animal-based protein. You know, your lean meats, your vegetables, your meats, your eggs, your whey protein, etc. And actually, you know what? I could share let me share my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, let me.
If you put it up, I can put it
here. Share it. Okay, let me see here. Okay, share. Now it's giving me this crap about the permission and everything. Okay, I was going to show you guys my Instagram of when I used to be skinny. I don't know if you want me to send you the link instead, Troy. Would that be better? And then
try sending me the link, and I'll see if I'll send you the link, and I'll see if I can put it up. Yeah,
I'll send you the link right now. But yeah, so yeah, guys, I used to be skinny myself, but actually, you know what? I'll give you the picture link. That'll probably be even better. And see,
yeah,
just so you guys can see my transformation. I just sent it to you in the chat.
I've got it now. Let's just see how we do.
But yeah, some examples of oh, can you see?
Yeah, hang on a sec, though. Just let me see.
The boy is mine. The boy is mine. The boy is mine. The boy is mine. The boy is mine.
Lovely little bit of music there. I don't know why that came.
Yeah, I see it now.
Can you guys see that? Can you see that? Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know why. Hang on a sec. Let me just try it. Shall I just try it one more time?
Yeah, sure. Here, I'll go on YouTube right now myself and look. No, it's not showing.
Sorry, guys. Let's block your screen. I don't know. Yeah, we might have to. Let's leave it for the time being because there's some. Okay. We're having some technical issues here, guys. So sorry about that. But it was that picture. Go on Myron's Instagram because the picture he's talking about is pretty awesome. Like the transformation between what you were like and what you're like now is quite remarkable. So yeah, you've got some good tips to give people for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, that's what I would give tips for guys that are like trying to gain weight. Put yourself in a slight calorie surplus. And then slowly gain. Don't do what I did because I got fat too. I actually did an experiment in 2014 to 2016 where I pretty much got fat as fuck. I got up to 250 pounds, which for me is really fat, and it's hilarious. And basically that was what you call a dirty bulk, which is I put myself in an excessive calorie surplus for about a year and a half, and yeah, that wasn't fun. So you always want to die slow, guys. I mean, sorry, gain slowly.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? So obviously you're talking about calorie deficits and calorie surpluses, and you're being quite specific with the amounts that you're talking about. You're talking about potentially another 350 calories or whatever it is per day, which suggests that you are very careful in terms of meal prep and everything else. So, and that's always, and I have to confess, that is always something that's held me back because I'm a bit sort of lazy about that stuff. And I'm like, oh God, it just sounds like a nightmare. So could you talk to us a bit about nutrition and how you prepare food and, you know, all of that side of things?
So what I've done is I've actually, I get a meal prep service and I just have them deliver me food and it has the calories on it. So that way pretty much, because I always say failing to prepare is preparing to fail. So if you have, you know, if you hate cooking like me, or you like, because for years I weighed out my food and I was like, oh, fuck, this is annoying. So I just outsourced it and said it, you know what, from a time perspective, I can probably make more money just by like hiring a meal prep service and not cooking and like focusing on like working more than cooking and going to a grocery store. Now I still do go to a grocery store to supplement food because I like to have like fruits and vegetables and stuff like that all the time. But As far as like my main entree dishes, like food, I just outsource that completely because I've just noticed it makes it a lot better.
That's a really good tip and I need to look into that myself here, because that is one of the main things that's put me off from getting that much into it, is just the thought of like, oh, I'm going to have to weigh everything out and it's going to take ages and blah, 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 you know. So I have to admit that what lets me down personally is probably the nutrition side of things, in the sense that, I mean, I'm pretty good most of the time. I don't eat sugar. I tend to do 2 meals a day. So I'll do lunch and then I'll do an evening meal. I try to be careful about protein, vegetables, keeping carbs relatively minimal, but I'm certainly not measuring it in any structured sense. And I suspect that's what's kind of holding me back from greater success in this area. Would you say that's potentially
yeah
true?
So the big thing is because they've done studies on this too, where they found that like even if you put someone on like a McDonald's only diet, and you basically just feed them McDonald's, but you put them in a calorie deficit, they're still going to lose weight and their health markers are going to improve. Now, do I suggest that?
Really?
No. Yeah. Like,
really?
So, because a lot of people like to demonize sugar and insulin and all these other things, but in reality, the real culprit is eating in a calorie surplus and not exercising. That's really where most people fuck up. It's just that, especially in the West, man, like people always want to make excuses for why they're not where they are, why they're not where they want to be. And the reality comes down to people just eat too many calories and they don't exercise. But if you exercise, you're better off exercising and eating quote unquote unhealthy food than like eating healthy food, getting fat and eating in a calorie surplus and not exercising. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And optimally, you would want to exercise and eat healthy food. That's how you build a great physique. But it really comes down, like weight loss is probably one of the biggest factors when it comes to improved health markers. If assuming you're not like diabetic or anything like that, then yeah, sugar does play more of a role, and so does insulin. But for like an otherwise healthy person, you can spike your insulin all day and eat in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose weight and your health markers are going to improve. And as a matter of fact, they've done studies too where they found that like protein, like having a protein shake actually spikes your insulin more than carbohydrates. So the glycemic index is also kind of like a false thing as well. And we can go into that if you want, but like the glycemic index, for lack of a better way of saying it, guys, it's bullshit.
So would you not really demonize sugar as much as some people do then?
Yeah.
Or would you say like really? That's interesting.
Yeah, it's not. So the thing about sugar is why the problem with sugar is that when you eat sugary foods, a lot of the time it tends to be high calorie, right? So it's not the sugar that makes you fat, it's the calorie surplus that makes you fat. It just so happens that a lot of the time sugary foods, candy, cake, etc., they're so calorie dense and they're not fulfilling, like they're not satiating. So you're going to be more prone to overeat those foods because you're not getting satiated. You know what I mean? Because it's high calorie, and it's like basically like you get a budget of 2,000 calories per day. You basically spend like $1,500 on like on like a Lamborghini when you haven't paid your rent yet. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like that's how I would look at it, is that it's not going to fill you up. So like you have a car, but you don't have a place to live now. So like your priorities are all fucked up. So that's the problem with sugary foods. But if you control calories and you still eat, even if you ate a lot of sugar, it wouldn't necessarily fuck you up as bad as people say.
So if you ate sort of, I don't know, 1,800 calories and there was a lot of sugar in there in the day, then the fact that it's sugar is not necessarily going to be worse as far as weight's concerned than if it was just all, I don't know, like lean meat or something.
Yeah. It's because, people like to reference like insulin spikes and the glycemic index and all these things. And the reality is, yes, like it does matter. But if we were to put like a pyramid of prioritization of what was most important, calories is always at the base of that. Total calories in versus calories out dictates weight loss, regardless of the food, what the food is, it's always the total energy in it. Yeah.
I mean, two things have really worked for me. I mean, I've never really been overweight, let's say, but I've certainly, like most people, I've certainly probably fluctuated a little bit, and I'm pretty lean at the moment. And I would say two things have really helped me with that. One of them has been cutting out breakfast, actually, which is kind of a Twitter thing. You get these dudes on Twitter like, yeah, man, just have black coffee and blah, blah, blah. And it's a bit of a cliche, but for me, it actually really works because when I eat breakfast, it doesn't then fill me up for the rest of the day. Actually, it's the opposite. I start to then get more hungry. I just end up eating more shit during the day. So not eating until 12, then having kind of a lunch, and then later on having an evening, whatever. That's really helped. And I have to say, the other thing that's really helped me is actually cutting out overtly sugary things like chocolate, sweets, stuff like that. But that was probably just because I would just snack on that stuff too, over and above.
Yeah. So basically, what you inadvertently restricted your calories. So and this is why. So like, even though I don't intermittent fast, but I know that it works a lot because the reason why it's so effective is because it helps people restrict their calories. And what you just described is basically like a form of intermittent fasting where you're not eating breakfast. Yeah. And by virtue of not eating breakfast, you're consuming less calories. And then if you consume less calories, you're going to lose more weight. The reason why a lot of these diets work, keto, carnivore, intermittent fasting, etc., is because what they basically do is they inadvertently, without the dietee knowing, puts them in a calorie deficit. So it helps a lot. Actually, I figured out how to share my screen. I could show you guys how I used to be fat as shit. Can you guys see my screen?
Hold on.
Can you guys see it?
Yeah, that's up.
Okay.
Wow.
So this is my transformation here from 2008 here. This is 164 pounds. And then this is me at 10 years later, 2018, at about 205. And then I'll show you guys my fat picture as well, because I used to be a fat fuck. Here we go. This is me at my fattest, guys. 250 pounds here. This was August of 2015. And then this was taken in July of last year at around 205. So I've definitely been on both ends and I know what it's like, but by far the thing that helped me lose the weight, because for me to get from this to this, well, actually I can scroll down and show you guys the true, this was the full transformation here. This was at 20, wow. This picture, this was taken in 20, when I started getting fat around 2015. And then this one was taken in 2016 later on. And this was it took me about 6 to 7 months to lose this weight. And I did it by tracking my calories, eating in a calorie deficit. And actually what I did was, once a week when I stopped losing weight, I did something called a refeed, where I would actually up my calories to like 4,000 or 5,000 calories per day. And I was eating a lot of sugary foods and stuff, but then I would go back into a calorie deficit, which that's kind of an advanced technique when you hit a fat loss plateau, which I use with a lot of my clients. But yeah, man, it all comes down to calories. I hate to say it like that, but it's calories in versus calories out. Here's me at Ultra and stuff like that. But here, I'll go back to mess that up.
Hang on, okay. Let's take it
okay,
off.
there we go. So yeah.
So, and here's the multi-million-dollar question, I guess. To what degree, when you got ripped, let's say, did you notice you were getting a different sort of result with girls, or girls were reacting to you differently, or did you notice that at all, or what would you comment on that?
Yeah, man. So fitness is like like I said before, it's like one of the best equalizers, man, because when you're in shape, it says a lot of things about you without you having to ever open your mouth, right? So when you're in shape, one of the things is girls will kind of be intimidated by you when you go up to them, but that's what you want. You always want girls on shaky ground when they're dealing with you, so they don't really know where you stand. And fitness is kind of a way to do that silently without ever having to talk. Like, she's just going to assume your higher value by virtue of you being in shape. And then also it's a DHV, because if you're in good shape, probably means you have expendable income to some degree, right? Because you're eating well and you're going to the gym and you're training. Because let's face it, eating healthy isn't cheap, right? Especially if you live in the West. So it is like it's like what I would call a covert DHV, which me and John talk about this all the time to the guys, where, getting your teeth straightened and clean, getting in good shape, dressing well. These are all covert demonstrations of higher value that show that you probably have some kind of expendable income, that you're just higher value in general, because slobs and low value guys typically don't take care of themselves in that regard. So that's why self-care is so important. Which Troy is one of the fashion pros. We bring his expertise in to talk about clothing. So,
thank you. And we had quite a fun night that night, didn't we? Doing that amazing webinar. Yeah, some quite memorable moments from that for sure. But I mean, would you say because a lot of guys will come to this and they'll be like, I want to put on muscle, or I want to get ripped, because when I get ripped, when I'm shredded, I'm going to walk into the club and the girls are going to see that, and they're kind of going to come to me. I suppose this is a little bit of a leading question, but I'm genuinely interested in your experience. Did you find that to be the case, or would you say? I mean, clearly you still need game, right? But were you getting more favorable reactions because of the fact that you're in better shape, or what's your comment on that?
So when you're in good shape, like girls will tolerate a little bit more from you. So like you can. Like you still have to have game. You still got to know how to convey yourself, because there's a bunch of guys. Me and John talk about this all the time. Like gym cells, where guys that like train and bodybuild, but they get no fucking girls because they have no social skills. So you still have to have some game at some point. And actually, I would say if you're like in good shape and you approach a girl and you're on some like beta behavior, like you're needy or you're socially uncalibrated or whatever, it's probably going to turn her off even more, because like, yo, this guy has like he's a good looking guy and he should like have this figured out. So it actually hurts you more if you don't know what you're doing if you're in good shape. So I would say that lets girls tolerate you a little bit longer if they don't necessarily like you because you're attractive. But at some point it's finite. It's finite. So you're gonna have to basically learn game, or like you're not gonna get the action that you want if you don't have your shit together. So it'll give you a little bit more breathing room to talk, or she might not dismiss you as quickly as if you like if you were fat as fuck and you approached her. But you still have to have your game sorted for sure. I would say I agree with you. Yeah,
and there's also a certain type. There's also a certain specific sort of body type, isn't there, that is optimal for dating and game? Because guys, you get a lot of guys in the community, and they are full on bodybuilders, and they're like, yeah, man, and it's like they're seriously trying to get yoked. Mm-hmm. And maybe I'm just being naive in this, but my take on this is that I don't think girls are so into that really. After a certain point. I think it's the kind of the lean muscle look that girls really like.
Absolutely. So most guys overshoot what girls like the muscularity that a woman finds attractive by about 20 to 30 pounds. And the studies show that as well. Mm. And the reality is, guys, if you want to get like a base model, you want to look like an Abercrombie model. That is what the ideal physique actually is for females. Like you have some muscular development and some visible abdominals, and you're good. You don't want to step on stage with fucking veins all over the place. Like some girls might find that attractive, but most are actually going to be repulsed by it.
Yeah, and hence Abercrombie using those dudes as their models, because obviously they know that's what is optimally attractive. It's that kind of lean. I mean, the thing that I always go back to, which is getting a bit old now, is Brad Pitt in Fight Club. It's that sort of physique.
Yes, absolutely.
Which I think you want to aim for rather than trying to get massive, because I think it's sort of diminishing returns after a certain point. And actually, like you say, girls can actually get turned off by it, I think, if you go too far.
Absolutely.
I mean,
go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, carry on. No, carry on, sorry.
No, all I was going to say was Brad Pitt is an excellent example. And like Brad Pitt and Troy, like people don't know this. He was only 155 pounds for that role. So
really?
And like the thing is, guys, that's why I say that ratio of 1.6 is so important, because if you have a 1.6 ratio of shoulder to waist, that creates the illusion of size. So you don't have to necessarily be as big to look as impressive. So you're better off losing the body fat, getting that V taper going, and weighing less if your goal is to be attractive, sexually appealing to women. So yeah, that's a great point that Brad Pitt. But yeah, he was only 155 pounds in that role for Troy.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because
not you, Troy.
Well, it's an interesting thing because for myself, and I don't want to like. Obviously, this is for the guys watching, so I'm not making a personal consultation. But maybe some people can relate to this. I mean, for myself, I've always quite liked to stay on the lean side of things, and the issue with that is I've probably never put on as much muscle as I could have done. I mean, I've had different periods, you know. I mean, at the moment, I'm quite low muscle because I haven't been to the gym for 3 months. I've just been doing stuff at home and doing cardiovascular. But even when things are back to normal and I am in the gym, I'm probably not putting on enough. And I think there's almost something that holds me. I mean, I'm probably doing it wrong for a start, but I'm held back a little bit because I get what you're saying about the calorie surplus, but I sort of don't want to do that because I quite like looking quite sort of like lean and quite chiseled. Do you know what I mean? And what I fear is if I started doing that, then I'd sort of lose that for a bit. And that would then be to my detriment because I sort of think, you know, on a base level, if I can go to the club or go to the bar and I look reasonably lean and I can look quite good in some, you know, whatever I'm wearing or something, that's going to take me quite a long way. Without risking putting on additional weight. Does that make sense? Do you see
No,
where I'm
no,
coming
absolutely, absolutely. Like basically, you know, the process of like trying to put on lean body mass would put you in a position where you would make it a constant. Yeah. So yeah, it would put you in a position where you would gain some unwanted body fat that would lower your sex appeal. So I totally get it. And yeah, it's kind of one of the unfortunate realities, especially the more experienced you are with weight training, the more you're going to have to go into a deliberate calorie surplus to put on lean body mass and then go into deliberate cuts. Now, there are ways to circumvent that, you know, if you're going to get on drugs or, you know, steroids or you're going to like, you're a beginner or whatever. But the more acclimated you are to weight training, the more invasive your training and dieting has to become to get said results. So, and me, I train naturally personally. I don't knock guys that do use PEDs or whatever. I'm not going to sit and insult them because I understand that like if you want to be a competitive bodybuilder or be like a top tier fitness model, it's kind of required. But me personally, I've always trained naturally. I always encourage my clients to train naturally. And the reason why is that once you go down the path of using testosterone or any of these drugs, basically there's no going back. I call it going to the dark side because then your body's going to need those drugs to continue producing testosterone or whatever hormones to keep your body anabolic or in a muscle building phase. So I always say max out yourself naturally before you even think about doing that stuff. And if you are going to do that stuff, make sure you're doing it for a damn good reason. Like you're getting paid to do it. You need to do it for your bodybuilding show or some shit like that. But even then, I veer away from it. But that's my personal.
Yeah. I just ask a question about the food again. So
Sure.
you're getting your calories, you're getting your meals, like for the most part, made for you by the service. What do you like about snacking? Are you pretty disciplined? I mean, how does it work? Do you do 3 meals a day and then you don't snack in between? Or do you sometimes let yourself off the hook, or how sort of personally disciplined are you around?
So what I do, I just keep like food around that like I can snack on that I know isn't going to fuck me up. So I like to get Quest protein bars. They're pretty. I can show here. Give me one sec. I actually show you. I have a box right here.
He's getting the protein bars. Here we go.
So this is what I snack on these Quest protein bars. They're only like 180 calories and 20 grams of protein. So that's a pretty good ratio. And then I'll snack on like some fruit like this. I got some blackberries here. I'm almost done with them. But blackberries are low calorie, apples. And basically what I do is I just set myself up so that like if I do want a snack, it's a snack that's like going to help me push closer to the goal. And another pro tip is when you guys go grocery shopping. If you are grocery shopping, go grocery shopping after you work out. That's going to make you more adherent to buying foods that are conducive to your success. And then in your house, don't keep any food around that you know is like going to fuck you up. So like chips and cookies, all that stuff, don't keep it in the house. And blueberries are definitely great too. Like I always have berries on deck, strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, because they're very low calorie. And then I keep protein bars or whey protein in the house as well, so that I can like make a quick shake or whatever. So like foods that I do keep around to snack on are conducive to my goals. That's one.
Yeah. What about bananas? Are you a fan, or do you think they're too calorific?
Bananas are okay. You just got to be careful with them because one banana is around 33 grams of carbs and 30 grams of carbs and like 100 calories. So you just want to be a little careful with them. Pineapple, bananas, they're typically higher in calorie. So just use them sparingly. Yeah.
Cool. I think there's a couple of little questions here. I mean, I don't know whether baldness itself is not really relevant to the exercise regime as such, but have you got any advice for bald guys? I mean, bald guys can look cool, right? I mean, what about Jason Statham? I mean,
Yeah, a lot of guys are scared of being bald, man. We always tell guys when they come into Body Language Master, like the webinars, if they like have like some shit and they're just holding on, like, yo, just shave it off and just take being bald. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not gonna just do it. Don't be scared.
Exactly. And then common sense philosophy. How many calories should you eat to gain weight if you're 6 foot, 180 pounds?
So I use a formula to figure that out, but I would have to know more about you to figure that out, because the thing is that everybody needs different calories. Like I have one client, man, I'm not going to say his name, but he's eating like, we were dieting him on like 3,600 calories, which is like crazy that he was like dieting on such a high calorie amount. Then I got other guys that I got to diet them down on, only 2,000 calories, and they're like the same height, same weight. So your metabolic capacity is individual to you. It's a very unique number. Everyone's TDEE is completely different, or their maintenance calories. So hit me up on the side and I can help you with that, brother.
Yeah, fair enough. And there's another one here which is maybe similar to that, about protein and for an average guy.
So the general rule of thumb that's safe is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. But if you want to get more into it, I would go 1.2 to 1.6 grams per pound of lean body mass. And I would go on the higher end of that because there's a bunch of studies from Dr. Jose Antonio's lab up here in Florida. And basically they found that like super high protein diets were way better at improving body composition. So higher protein diets almost always win. So 1 gram per pound of body weight, I would say, is bare minimum, but like that depends on your body fat levels, experience levels, etc. So I can give you a more particular number if you hit me up, but like those are some standards.
Yeah. And just on a slightly tangential point, but just to clarify for the guys, is the fitness stuff your full-time thing now? Is this your business? This is what you do all the time, or have you got some other stuff going on in the background? I mean, obviously, I know the dating side of things as well, but is this your sort of gig at the moment, or what's
I own a fitness business, Unplugged Fitness, but no, I got some other things on the side as well. The fitness stuff is I do it because I just enjoy helping guys out and helping them get in shape, and I just got tired of seeing fitness charlatans like on some fucking bullshit, you know what I mean, lying to people. So yeah.
What would you say the biggest lies are in the industry then, or the biggest sort of pitfalls that people are going to fall down?
That's a really good question. So I would say the biggest ones are there's a lot of fitness models and stuff like that basically they advertise supplements that did not get them the body that they currently have. So that's, they got it through drugs or they were an athlete before or whatever. So that's one facade. So like a lot of supplements are BS, right? And then another facade is basically selling short-term solutions to long-term problems. So like fat burners, Herbalife, telling people to use waist trainers and shit like that. Like these are all like scams, or like, 6-minute abs. Like these are all things that like, if it were that easy, everybody would be running around shredded. So, but they're just trying to sell a product. They're not going to tell you the truth, which is like, hey, the reason why you're fat is because you're not eating in a calorie deficit, you're not sleeping enough, and your training sucks. But they can't make money telling you that. So I would say those are like some of the biggest scams as far as like selling people a dream. Like the fitness industry makes its money from selling you a dream, not solutions.
Yeah. What do you think about calisthenics?
Calisthenics are great. I did them for basically like 3 months here while I was stuck inside. And they're really good. The thing is about calisthenics though, and I posted a study about this on my Instagram, you want to be training very close to failure to be able to build muscle and or retain the muscle that you have, because calisthenics in itself, like you're using less resistance because you're using only your body weight. So you have to train a little bit closer to failure to still get that same stimuli as you would from traditional weight training. Yeah,
I've been doing calisthenics throughout this because obviously that's kind of the only option pretty much we've had, really. What about a gym's open in Miami yet, or
they just opened? They just opened this Monday, man. I went to the gym for the first time on Monday, and I was like, shit. And I'm like kind of sore from like my arms are kind of sore from doing bicycle curls again with dumbbells.
Wow.
So now it's good.
Did you have to drop weights down a little bit, or were you still reasonably?
I was able to. I maintained a lot of my strength surprisingly, man. Like from like training with calisthenics and like pushing, like I said, pushing really close to failure. That was like a big reason I was able to maintain a lot of my strength.
Yeah, fantastic. And what about the clubs over there? I assume we're not anywhere near being able to sort of get back out there yet. But what's
not yet? Yeah, so the bars and clubs haven't opened yet, but I literally, just before I came on a stream with you, a promoter that I know sent me a message saying, hey, party at undisclosed club, DM me for messages. So that for address and all of this stuff. So I already know that the night scene is going to start picking up here very soon again.
Awesome. I mean, we can now start to segue into talking about Night Game, if that's cool with you. But firstly, have you got any final points you want to make on the fitness stuff before we sort of go on to a different topic? Is there anything else you want to say to guys about?
No, just guys, I am an online coach. If you guys need help with that, hit me up at my Instagram or unpluggedfitnesslife.com. But, in general, just understand that like the fitness industry, a lot of the time, just be very wary of whoever you take information from. And if they can't back up their claims with some kind of like peer-reviewed study as to why they're doing the methodologies that they do, then you should probably, think twice about listening to that person, because there's a lot of fucking scammers in the industry.
Yeah, this is an interesting question, actually. Is creatine legit?
Absolutely. It's the only supplement that actually works. It's the most widely researched sports supplement, and it is definitely it definitely works. I would say take 5 to 10 grams every day. It's going to take about 3 weeks to load into your system, and then you're going to notice increased performance in the gym. You're going to notice some strength gains, and creatine definitely works. It's one of the few.
Yeah, cool.
Monohydrate,
So
guys. Get the powder. Don't get the bullshit pills. Sorry, go ahead, Troy.
So here's a nice segue question. Do you ever work out just before you go out? Because what I've found when I've done that, particularly if you're doing those heavy compound exercises like squats and deadlifts and things, you get that spike of testosterone, don't you? And then when you go out, and this could be daytime approach or night game, you've got this rush of testosterone, and that seems to really come across in the way that you talk to girls, the way that you just cut your vibe and everything. So is that something you do, or is that something you've explored?
I have in the past. I never made it like deliberate, to work out, to get a little bit of an edge with the girls. But I've done it before, because I just didn't have time, and I was only able to squeeze it in before a night game session. So I would just train and then shower and then go.
I think the thing is, though, if you're working out regularly and you're doing it to quite a rigorous degree, you're going to get that sort of cumulative build-up of testosterone anyway, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? Because I find when I'm going to the gym a lot and I'm sort of I'm pushing it, then I'm walking around, I've just got that extra edge to me, which is another benefit actually of getting into your fitness stuff, isn't it? Because because to me, right, I think without going into artificial means of doing this, but testosterone is so important, I think, in this whole process. And I really believe, I don't have, maybe you do, I don't have real scientific sort of studies to back this up, but my sense of it is the more sort of infused with testosterone you are, the more aggressively you go after what you want, and the better that's received by the women that you interact with.
Yeah, absolutely. Having a higher testosterone helps with all facets of your life. If you're a man, with drive, sex performance, the way you look, the ability to build muscle mass, etc. Energy levels. So, and you can naturally increase your testosterone just by eating well, training hard in the gym with resistance training, sleeping enough. These are gonna, minimizing stress, all these things. And if you do them continuously over a period of time, that's going to increase your testosterone, which is going to help you with your confidence, everything. So yeah, I would definitely say it helps. Yeah, it's definitely.
What about vitamin D as well? They say vitamin D, omega oils are supposed to be good. I don't know whether you. Yeah,
you can supplement with vitamin D. You can get it from from food as well. Or I always say get a multivitamin. That's another supplement that's worth the money. I kind of look at a multivitamin as like an insurance policy, so that if you are deficient in something that you didn't get from your food, then you can use a supplement as that insurance policy to make sure you get enough in per day.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, so look, let's have a chat about the night scene and the night scene in Miami as well. So I'm, like I say, I've only been once. I was on South Beach. It was a long time ago. I was with a girlfriend, so it wasn't some sort of gaming adventure. But I would imagine the kind of places that you're going to, this has got to be a pretty glitzy scene, hasn't it? I'm imagining there's a lot of obviously attractive women out there, but also I'm guessing some pretty high value guys as well. So is that the case? And is there a lot of competition there?
Yeah. So Miami, I'll say this, we have South Florida in general, from West Palm Beach down to Miami. We by far have, with Fort Lauderdale right smack dab in the middle, we probably have the highest concentration of attractive women in the United States. I've lived in New York City, lived in Connecticut, lived in Boston. That's where I went to college. I've been in California. I lived in Texas for a while, and nowhere comes close to here. Arizona has some attractive women, but as far as the highest concentration of of attractive women in one area, South Florida's got it. Now, with that said, Miami definitely is a competitive marketplace. If you don't have your shit together, you're going to have a hard time meeting women out here, because your competition is fairly stiff. But a lot of the guys that are super high value here, they're not from here. They're from New York City or whatever. A lot of the guys that are there's a lot of transplants here in Miami, especially that actually live in the city of Miami. So, but it's definitely, I would say, as far as from a female quality standpoint, really high.
Is that a lot of the Latina girls, or just generally? Just
Yeah, like Miami is basically like Latin America, like in one. You know, like people here. There's
Colombia.
like like Colombians, Venezuelans, a lot of Cubans. So if you don't speak like Spanish, you are gonna have a disadvantage, which I've noticed that because a lot of girls here don't speak English. A lot of people here in general don't speak English. So so this is definitely a bilingual city for sure. Very international city.
Yeah. So we've talked about this before on sort of webinars and things, but could you talk through the guys what your approach to night game is? So you're going on a night out. The aim is that you're going to be out until you meet somebody and you're going to be able to bring her back, ideally. So what do you do? What's your sort of routine when you get to the venue or even before the venue, once you're in the venue, throughout the night? How does it sort of break down?
Yeah. So, okay, I'll go through this. So, so guys, basically the thing about night game you guys got to understand is before you even walk out the door is you got to understand that night game isn't the most efficient way to meet girls. It's definitely a low return on investment, but I personally enjoy it. So I do it. And I think, and it keeps you sharp because if you can night game, you can basically like, if you can pick up girls at night and like night game with all the distractions, which we're going to get into, then you're like good money. So
yeah,
I just responded to Troy, but yeah. So first you got to understand that like this is hard mode. This is like basically like putting the game a Halo 2 on Legendary and then like going in. So now that you understand that, like what night game is, it's basically going out at night and meeting women in a venue like a bar, nightclub, etc. So what I do is before I go out. You definitely want to. I know, like RSD and a bunch of other guys talked about state. I'm not going to take it that far and say state, but you definitely want to get in a social mood, right? So if that means you're hanging out with your friends and you're talking, or you're going out alone, like start talking to people and starting general conversation, okay? And what that's going to do is it's going to get your social calibration up. It's going to warm you up a little bit, and then what I like to do is at the first venue I go to, I'll purposely. If I'm like not warmed up, I'll purposely just start conversations with like people I just see, whether if it's a guy with his girl or a dude at the bar. I know some guys have approach anxiety with women. So like start talking to guys first, get that social fluid going up, maybe recruit one of them to help you wing on a set, and then just like open up a couple sets and get warmed up. And for guys that have like confidence issues, go ahead and approach like less attractive women, right? And go ahead, and introduce yourself, whatever it may be. But the point is start talking, right? To get that anxiety down and everything else like that, because I know a lot of guys have approach anxiety. And what you want to do is when night game is like all logistics, guys. So you want to set yourself up to win. And the way to do that is you want to go out in an area that's close to you, no more than like 15 minutes by car, 10, 15 minutes by car. Ideally, you want to live in like the downtown area of your city and be able to walk around everywhere. So me, I'm in Miami. I'm in the Brickell neighborhood, which is like the financial district. So, there's a bunch of bars here that I just frequent all the time that I'll just like walk to because logistics is that important. And then basically, then next is wingmen, right? So I always say you're better off going alone than going out with like an idiot. And what I mean by going out with an idiot is like a guy that doesn't like understand how to convey himself appropriately to women. And I'll give an example of what I mean by that. So like a lot of guys, unfortunately, like they communicate to women overtly, right? Which we all know is like a big fuck up. Like women don't communicate overtly. It's all in the subtle gestures. And what guys will do is like, they'll make cardinal mistakes, like lead with their fucking wallet. Here, I made $2,000 on the stock market today or some dumb shit like that. And it's like, bro, like, no, like, that's not how it works. You want your actions to convey things for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of guys like make that mistake and like fucking try to explicate it. And it's a huge mistake. Shout out to Royal Tomasi on that. Always demonstrate, not explicate. But so with night game, that's even more pronounced because for me, like night game, I've noticed is like it's basically like everything moves faster. Escalation moves faster. Interactions move faster. You got to make split second decisions. You got to be quick with what you do, which I'll talk about screening here in a second. So first, so you want to go out with wingmen, you want to go out with guys that aren't idiots. Next, don't go out in big packs of like friends. Like that's a big fuck up. Like take no more than 2 guys with you and go out, or maybe 3 at the most. So you can split up into two sets, 2 groups, and you can like split off if needed. And, you know, just start going out, just start talking to girls and make approaches. And as long as you don't display needy behavior when you open, you'll be okay. And one of the biggest things I see with guys making a mistake when they go out in night game is they display low value body language. And one of the biggest tips that I can give is when you approach a girl at the bar, don't approach her head on. Always approach her with with your feet facing another direction. This comes from Mystery talked about this. As if you're like stopping and you're not going to stay long. And then you can also throw in like a false time constraint if you need to, like, hey, you know, I can't stay long, but, and then go into whatever you're going to say. And me, I keep it simple, man. My opener, you guys can steal this. I say, hi, you're almost as cute as me. What's your name? And I just put my hand out, you know what I mean? And I'll smile when I say it, right? And it kind of because it's not what you say, it's always how you say it. And then I never like lean toward, I never like angle my body towards her in a way where she feels threatened. Because like a lot of guys make this mistake where they walk right up to the girl and like block her ability to like, because like women, you got to remember, like a lot of guys don't understand that like women are the weaker sex. So, and they subconsciously know this. So if you approach them like head on and you block their ability to escape, well, that puts them in a weird position where they're like, what the fuck? So I always give them good space. And I have my feet pointed away as if I'm not going to stay long, because every girl's terrified when you make an approach that you're going to be that guy that's going to just sit there forever and try to like talk for fucking hours. So you throw in that false time constraint if you need to. And then I angle myself like say the girl's here, I'll be walking and I'll look and I'll be like, hey, you're almost as cute as me. And I'll blade my body a tiny bit towards her and shake my hand, or put my hand out. If she reciprocates and she looks back at me and smiles, it says hi, and then she angles her body towards me, then I reward that behavior by angling my body a little bit towards her, and I engage in conversation. And big tip, guys, do not fucking lean in. I'm going to say that again. Do not lean in when you talk to the girls. You stand up straight and you say what you're going to say. Now, if it's a loud venue and she says, oh, excuse me, or whatever, you just say it again louder. And if she likes you, here's the pro tip, she's going to actually lean into you. Then you can reciprocate and lean in a little bit and tell her my name is whatever the hell it may be. But you need her to start showing those indicators first. And the big mistake that guys make is they start showing it to her, and they're basically, like I said, with the body language, they're over investing in the interaction when they just met her at a night venue, and that's low value behavior. So stand up straight, have your feet pointed in another direction, give a false time constraint so she knows that you're not going to stay there forever like a creeper. And then you say, use an opener. It doesn't have to, you could use steal mine. Hey, you're almost as cute as me. What's your name? Bah. Or, you know, hey, I just want to meet you real quick. Bah. And then you just like shake her hand. And then if she reciprocates, smiles, and like she leans into you, then boom, engage in the conversation. And if she doesn't, I fucking leave. Like my thing is with night game is I'm not going out to impress girls. I'm going out to find girls that are like into me. So I'm screening out time wasters right away. And the thing is, guys, in 2020, with this social media age that we live in right now, you cannot afford to deal with time wasters. And the thing is that a lot of guys don't understand that, like, for women, their currency is attention. So if you go up to a girl and you talk to her, she might sit there and entertain you for 20 to 30 minutes. And then you go for a number close, or you go for a soft close, or whatever it may be. And she's like, oh, I have a boyfriend. And you're like, what the fuck? And the reason why, well, you probably weren't paying attention to her body language at one, because if she's not interested in you, you'll know. But if you do make that mistake and you sit there and talk to her, well, you just gave her a bunch of free attention. So my thing is, I move quickly, and I'll like a tip that I do is when you shake her hand, I hold on to her hand, and if she lets me hold her hand, then I know more than likely she's probably single, and I'll continue the interaction. But if she pulls away or she's weird about it, then I'm like, fuck this, and I just move on. Because like when you do night game, guys, you want to screen out time wasters immediately, because you have a finite time to like find girls that are actually interested in you. Sorry, Troy.
Well, that's an interesting point, right? So would you say, well, I think you have said it already, but are you saying then that what you do is basically you are just screening for girls who are kind of into you or amenable to you already? So it's not like that you're going in and doing game as this magic thing where I'm going to talk her around and I'm going to get that girl who's really difficult to get and I'm going to say some clever lines. You're just more like, bang, here I am, let me do a temperature take. If she's feeling it, I stay. If she isn't, I move off. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I basically I approach it from the premise of I'm not here to impress you.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it. Like a lot of guys do what I call like, I hope she likes me game. And they just sit there and try to fucking deal with it, like raise interest. And I'm like, and you can do that. Like if she's starting at like an acceptable level where she's like shit testing you a little bit, joking with you, being like nice and making banter with you, then you can go ahead and try to increase the interest. But if she's like giving you like cold shoulder, or any of that shit, fuck that. Move on. You always want to deal with girls that are like at least warm and receptive to your thing. And I think a big mistake a lot of guys do is they try to sit there and win the girl over. Fuck that shit, dude. Move on. So I agree.
Good point. Because actually, it's kind of scarcity mentality, really, isn't it? To be like, well, I'm just going to sit here with this cold-faced bitch and try to talk her around for 3 hours.
And here's another thing too. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And it's like, why would you bother to do that when there's so many of them out there? I think some people would have this idea that games should be this kind of artistry where, say, you see the girl and she's the best-looking girl in the club, and you walk up to her and she's disinterested at first, and you do something clever in order to talk her around. But I think the reality is that, you can. Here's the thing, right? It's been said before. You can do game on maybe girls, and you get maybe girls, no girls, and yes girls. Okay, a maybe girl is where you play game. Is where you do the game, because she's sort of like, yeah, he's kind of all right, but I'm not sure, or I'm with my friends, or like blah blah blah. It's her that you do game on. If it's a yes girl, then that's cool, you're good to go. But if it's a no girl, then and she says no, then you're not gonna talk her around. There's no YouTube video. There's no $9.99 course. There's nothing that's going to give you the magic spell to convert that girl. Where you're going to win or lose is on the maybe girls. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. And I'll take it a step further. Like, obviously Troy has razor sharp game, so he can convert maybe girls. Me personally, I say fuck maybe girls, because to me, I'm like, I don't want to risk, and I want to get like the highest probability. So I just move on. And I'm not saying don't deal with maybe girls, but for me, I've noticed that when you deal with maybe girls, maybe she has shitty logistics, or she's with her friends, or like she has some kind of weird social pressure that she can't really interact with you, then I might number close it. Personally, I don't even collect numbers anymore, because I've noticed that number collecting during night game is almost pointless, because like it's almost always going to be a flaky number. But in general, I just move on to like girls that are like yes girls, because to me, like there's so many attractive women here in Miami, and I can't risk like sitting there and talking to this girl and like, trying to raise interest when there's a bunch of other hot girls there. Now, I'm fortunate where I'm in a city that has an abundance of attractive women, and bars and clubs that like don't charge you to walk in. Like a lot of the bars and clubs here in Miami don't charge cover price. And even if they are, they're not bad. But whereas like in New York City, you might not have that option. So like gaming in New York City, and we could talk about the different cities also if you want. Like the different cities I've noticed, like New York City, you got to pay to play 100%. You know what I mean? Like if you want to see attractive women, they're all the top clubs, Mr. Purple, One Oak, all Bounce, all these places where you're going to have to get a table and run table game, which I could talk about that as well. But
the good thing. Yeah, the good thing about New York is it's very good for day game, though, isn't it? So you might be almost as worth it might almost be as worth your while just doing day game there, or even doing. I mean, there's some areas where in the summer you get a lot of people who are sort of out and about in the streets, like in like the Lower East Side or Greenwich Village, or I don't know what places are cool these days, but you know what I mean. You could do a little bit of outdoor game. Maybe it's a bit more conducive to that. But it does sound like what you're saying about Miami. It's very, very conducive to night games. So these logistical things are really important. Yeah.
And like the girls are attractive here. So I would just move on. Like if a girl like is like maybe or like on some bullshit. Cause like here's another thing. Miami is the rudest city in the United States by far. Anyone that lives here will tell you. So go ahead. That's
the thing I was going to ask you about. So how bitchy are the girls when you're out? I'm assuming quite bitchy. And are they sometimes saying like really like rude things and stuff when, by way of rejections? And if they are, how do you handle that as far as keeping your mindset going when you're on a night out?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So like, a lot of girls here are rude, and they'll never like I've never had it where like she'll like yell at you, or like a lot of times if someone is rude to you, it's like the cock blocking friend that's going to be like, she doesn't want to talk to you or some shit. Which at that point, I'm like, all right, whatever. I just like leave anyway. I don't even let it get to that point, because I'm like looking at her body language, and if she doesn't give me anything that's like not reciprocate, like positively reinforced, I just fucking leave anyway. But a lot of the times what they'll do is they'll look at you and say, I don't speak English, or they'll like just turn away from you or whatever, which in that case, just walk away, guys. Like, don't sit there and try to like negotiate desire with these chicks. Like, just move on. And that's why I'm so big on self-improvement. Because like, if you take care of yourself, you get in shape, you dress well, you speak well, you convey yourself in a high value manner, like a girl is going to find you attractive. So I look at it like, okay, I got rid of a time waster. I'm getting closer and closer to like a girl that is going to find me attractive. And I think being able to walk away quickly on night game is like critical, because you only have a few hours to do it, especially if you live in a city. Luckily here in Miami, the bars here close at 4 or 5. Some of them are even 24/7. So I can like stay out longer. But like if you're like in Boston, for example, Boston, everything, last call's at fucking 1:30, you know? So you gotta, you really gotta be like ruthless with like screening out time wasters right away. So that's how I would respond to like rude girls. I just like walk, I don't even deal with that shit. I'm like, all right, whatever. Like I just leave. And you just got, and the guys, you gotta understand too, sorry, Troy, I was just gonna say, add to that, like night game is like, it is going to like test your fortitude, because I'll tell you guys right now, for me, I got to go for like I go one for somewhere between 20 to 40. And that like, I'm like, to find a girl that's like actually cool that I can vibe with. And it takes a while, and you're going to have to sit there and vet a lot, like screen out a lot of time wasters, get rejected. And it might hurt your ego a little bit, but you got to be like resilient and just keep going.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, because like state control, controlling your own emotions during the night is really important, because I'm sure we've all had this. I mean, I've had ups and downs with this myself. When you're on a night out and you get blown out by the first like 2 or 3 girls or whatever, and even if it's not particularly rude, that can take its toll on you. So you need to maintain your state, and that's and just keep going regardless. And I think a way to get there is to really focus on the goal. Like you've got to be more selfish about it, right? Because like you said earlier, you're not there to impress these girls. You're not there for all of these girls and these random bystanders and the cockblock friends to think, oh, what a cool guy MYRON is, or what a cool guy Troy is. It doesn't matter. All of that's irrelevant. The only thing that's relevant is, are you going to get where you want to get to tonight or not? Are you going to get to sex and intimacy tonight with somebody or not? That is your sole thing. And I think you've got to have a certain tunnel vision about it, right? Because otherwise, because if you're worried about like what the cockblock friend thinks, or what the bartender thought, or what the guy who was watching you do the set where you got rejected thinks, all of that that's nothing to do with your goal, which is to find somebody tonight who's interested in you, who wants to take things further. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Like you guys, when you guys go out and night game, you have to be ruthless. Like you have to be like, be selfish almost to a degree, where you're like, I don't give a fuck about anything else. And here's the thing, women are going to sense that from you, and they're going to basically understand that it's like shit or get off the pot. You know what I'm saying? Cause like I've had it before where, and this is why I say move on quickly. I'm gonna give you guys a story. I went up, I was at Blackbird. Anyone here that is like familiar with Miami knows what I'm talking about. I saw a girl on the dance floor. I approached her. She gave me like the fucking cold shoulder. I was like, all right, cool. I walked away. I talked to another girl. She sees me talking to another girl, and like the other girl giving me like positive IOIs. She comes back up to me and reinitiates, right? This is why pre-selection is so important, guys. And she tries to like start conversation. I like literally looked at her. I laughed. I said, no. I just like kept talking to a girl that I was with. So like that's how ruthless you have to be, where you're like quick to cut your losses. And like here's the thing, guys. When you approach an interaction and you let the girl know that you don't give a fuck about how the interaction goes, it's like take it or leave it. Your feet are pointed the other way. You're not leaning into her when you talk to her. You're conveying all these things subtly that are high value. She's going to say, damn, like, okay, this guy's not going to stick around if I don't, Blackberry Ordinary. This guy's not going to stick around if I don't show him like indicators of interest. Let me lean in. Let me introduce myself. Let me be a little bit more positive. So a girl that otherwise probably would have been cold might open up because she sees that you're not willing to stick around. And you could display these mannerisms covertly. You don't have to sit there and say, oh, I got a date. Fuck you. I got 10 girlfriends. Like, no, you can do it just from your actions. And she's going to know that you don't give a shit. And that makes you high value because you're outcome independent of the interaction. So you guys got to be selfish when you go out and go out there for you. And here's the other thing too. men will look at you at the bar and look at you like, and they might, you might feel nervous, like, damn, are they going to make fun of me for making the interaction? But I can't tell you guys how many fucking times I've been at the bar and guys come up to me and say, dude, you're a fucking machine. I've seen you approach 20 girls tonight. How the fuck do you do it? It's like, whatever, man. I just do it. And then they'll be like, bro, and they'll ask you like, whatever. I'm like, all right, you want to approach a girl? Point one out. And they'll be like, oh, I think she's hot. I was like, all right, dude, watch. And I'll fucking like lead those guys and I'll take them over to introduce them to those girls. And then I'll open a set for them and I'll walk away. And like, that's how powerful it is when you know what you're doing. And other guys will see that shit. Because let's face it, most other guys are pussies. They're scared to approach women. They're outcome dependent versus being outcome independent. And you just got to go in there with that I don't give a fuck attitude. And girls sense that because it's so rare.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, listen, if you've got any questions for Myron about game, specifically about night game, but any kind of game really, then put them in the chat and we'll get to them as we're going through the stream. But that's gold what you just said. And by the way, the body rocking type thing that you've talked about, which is that sense that you might leave at any time, that is absolutely golden. Yeah. You're walking through the club and you kind of like, you're just looking over your shoulder and you just like, it's almost like it's a you've probably seen her, but you're walking past, you're looking over your shoulder. It's almost like it's very non-committal. You're like, hey, you're kind of cute. And you get talking to her as you're walking past. And she's got a choice then, either to stop and engage and give you an IOI so the conversation continues, or not, and then you're just going to carry on walking off anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is 100%. That really, really works well. Do you ever feel conscious? Say you've approached one of them and she's just looked away or whatever's happened, and you've gone, all right, sod it, I'm gonna walk on. Do you ever feel conscious then about approaching another girl immediately, or do you just don't care? Like her seeing you, or other people seeing you, like from one girl and then the next girl, or do you just don't care?
Yeah, so I generally don't give a shit. Like if I approach a girl and she like is on some bullshit, I'll end the set immediately and move on to another girl. As long as like the set didn't blow up. So like if I approach a girl and like she like outwardly shows like really bad, body language or whatever, and that other girl sees it, I might like let it cool off for a bit, and I'll like leave and go somewhere, another part of the bar, talk to other girls that might have not seen that, and then I'll reapproach that other girl maybe later that might have saw that bad interaction, and then I'll make a joke of it, like, yo, did you see that fucking argument earlier? That girl's mad because I beat her in a thumb wrestling match. I'll kind of make a joke on it. So and another here's a pro tip, guys. Me and my boy Googs did this in Arizona. One of John's generals in the Hot Dude Army. We were in set, right? And Googs is just a standoffish guy. So I was like the playful fucking social guy, and he was having like a lot of sexual tension with this girl. So what I did was I said, hey, listen, I know you guys want to bang and everything like that, but let's get to know each other first. And then what I did was I said, give me your hand. And she gave me her hand, compliance test. And then I was like, hey, Googs. And then I put his hand in her hand, and then I put them together like this. And I said, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, I declare thumb war. And then they started thumb wrestling. So it broke the tension, right? And playing like little games like this with girls, they fucking love it because one, it shows that you're socially calibrated, that you like know how to take hold of an interaction and make it fun. And then two, it breaks any kind of frame that they had in their mind that you might be a creepy weirdo. Because here's the thing, guys. When you approach a set of girls, they pretty much automatically think you're a fucking loser. Prove otherwise. Like that's because they've dealt with so many guys that like come into set and like are just like, they go, they ask her a million questions about herself. They don't develop good conversation. They're too invested in the interaction. They sit there for 30, 40 minutes in set trying to fucking like deal with girls that don't like them. They can't read body language. So girls are standoffish during night game because they dealt with so many dorks. So you need to break that loser frame immediately. And you do that by, not by the false time constraints, by making jokes, by smiling, etc., showing that you're a socially calibrated, cool guy that's normal, because a lot of guys are fucking weird. So, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, that's a good point. So after you've made the approach and she's smiled or whatever, she's given you a bit of an indicator of interest. So getting down to brass tacks, what are you then talking about? Like, how are you then transitioning and getting a conversation going? Now, my two things are keep it light and tease, be a bit of a challenge, tease her a bit, and just fucking keep it light. You don't want to start talking about philosophy or politics or something like that off the bat. The other thing The other thing is don't ask too many questions. And so to avoid asking questions, you can make statements about her and assumptions about her, and you can tell stories. So those are a few things I sort of throw in there. But what's your take on it? I know it's kind of difficult to describe maybe, but this is the bit that guys, I think, find difficult because they think even if I go in and approach her, I'm like, oh, you're cute, I wanted to meet you. And then she says, oh, hi. Then you're like, what do I say next? And I think guys almost, yeah.
So no, so yeah, Troy, I 100% agree with you. I do that too. I use assumptive questions where it puts her in a position where she has to correct me. And for the guys in here that are familiar with the London day game model, I use this even in my night game sessions as well. So what I'll do is I'll go in, I'll use that funny opener, whatever it may be, and then I'll make an assumption either about, we'll see here in Miami, everyone is Hispanic, right? And obviously there's like a lot of battling in between the Hispanic races. So like I'll go up to a girl, I'll know she's Colombian, but I'll purposely look at her and say, hey, so like, are you Mexican? And she'll immediately get offended and she'll correct me. And I'm getting like an emotional spike from her. And then she'll say, oh no, I'm Colombian. I'm like, oh damn, well, my ex-girlfriend was Colombian. We didn't get along. This probably isn't gonna work out, some shit like that. And I start like, the push-pull method. But assumptive comments are great because it basically puts, and I purposely get it wrong because it puts her in a position where she has to correct you. And that helps you like generate a conversation. And then like I'll ask a few questions about herself just to like just so that I can continue the conversations. Like, oh, so where are you from? Oh, I'm from Miami. Oh, you really you're from Kendall, right? Which is like a suburb of here where everyone actually says it lives, but they say, oh, I'm from Miami. No, you don't. You're not from Kendall. So I'll make a joke like that, playful banter, just like you said, where I'll tease them. And just keep it light and don't be weird. Like, and it's not what you say, guys. A lot of the time it's how you say it, when your tonality, you're speaking in an authoritative manner, you're speaking in a, like, I think a big mistake guys make when they're like talking to girls is they'll use the frame of like, they'll ask, like they'll say things in an asking manner. Like, so do you come here often? Like some shit like that.
Yeah, versus tonality up at the end as well.
Exactly. So like, do you come here often, or they stutter over their words? When in reality, it's like, so come here often or what? And then like a kind of like I don't give a fuck attitude. So like the way you say it is way more important than actually what you say and strong body language. So yeah, I agree with you. The assumptive openers are huge.
Yeah. And what about? Let's just briefly touch on some black pill stuff because for any black pill lurkers in the chat, looks, money, status. People are going to say, okay, but you need these things. Now, clearly, you're a good-looking guy. You are. We've already established that you are in good shape, very good shape. You're well dressed. Your tonality is very good as well. You have a very commanding voice. You're tall as well. So you've got all of these things going for you. Okay. I mean, I'm guessing that you obviously. I don't know what the guys that you bring with are like, but I'm imagining maybe there's some guys. Maybe there's a variety of guys. Maybe some aren't. As blessed. Aesthetically as you are, and I'm sure you observe lots of people around and everything, in the bars and places that you go to. So, like, you're going out and about, and you're still getting rejections, right? So the average dude could be sitting here going, well, what? I'm going to have no chance because what about me? But what would you say to that? Because I mean, my take on this is that you've just got to get out there and hit it hard, and everybody's going to get rejections. And, everybody is also going to find, or the majority, most people, you're going to find somebody who is into you, or at least is inclined towards you. But what would you say to that? Because obviously there are going to be dudes who are going to go, well, yeah, it's all right for Myron to say this because he's a tall, good looking dude. What about me?
Yeah. So for the guys the naysayers out there, and that's why I like to tell guys that, dude, I go 1 for 40, 1 for 50 some nights. And they're like shocked by like, what, really? And it's like, yeah, guys, like the reason why, like you got I'm just going to say it, crybaby is like fucking MGTOW Laymanary, MGTOW dictionary and shit like that, is because these, like, they don't want to do the work required to get the girls. And like, what they don't understand is that everyone gets rejected. Like, even if you're a Chad, you're going to get rejected more than you get accepted. The only way that you're like going to minimize your rejection rate is if you're like a fucking celebrity, you know what I mean? But like average guys are always going to get rejected because when you approach a girl and you say hello, you don't know her life. You don't know if she has a boyfriend or if she's like going through some shit or she's on her period or she's mad or her friends pissed her off, whatever. She's a victim to her emotions. So she's going to interact with you the way she feels. She might reject you it might just be her that's rejecting you because something's wrong with her, not necessarily you. And a lot of guys will take that rejection and be like, oh, fuck, there's something wrong with me. When in reality, you wouldn't have won that interaction regardless. Like, it had nothing to do with you. It had everything to do with her. She was anxiety, whatever the fuck. So you got to be able to cut your losses and not take it as like personal. And the hard truth is that you're going to have to make a lot of approaches to be successful. And I like to tell guys like, yo, I've gone 1 for 50 nights, 1 for 60, whatever it may be. And you just got to grind. And no one is immune from that. So, yeah.
It seems to me that there's a paradox, right? Because you almost need to have a big ego, but you also need to have a certain amount of humility as well. And what I mean by that is you need to have a big enough ego that you can walk around the club or day game as well, or wherever it is, and you think, yeah, I'm pretty fucking cool. I am, in my own sphere, I'm working on self-improvement. I've got a lot of things going for me. I am pretty fucking awesome. And you walk into the interaction with that mindset. I'm fucking awesome. This is me. You've got a chance to get to know me. Are you going to take it or not? No. Okay, bye. Move off. So in that sense, your ego's got to be quite high. But you've also got to have a degree of humility as well. And accept the fact that you are going to get turned down by people, because that's just life. And you don't want to think, well, I'm too good for this, because as soon as guys start thinking I'm too good for this, I shouldn't be getting rejected like this, because doesn't she realize I'm a secret king sitting in my bedroom and I've read all this philosophy and I'm so amazing, or whatever it is, then because it is a hustle. It's a grift and it's a hustle. You've got to get out there and you've got to put the mileage in as well. So you need to sort of balance those two things. You can't go too low on the humility, and then you're just like, oh my God, I can't take these rejections anymore. I'm just going to give up. So you've got to have that ego that you think, yeah, I'm pretty fucking awesome. But you've also got to accept that not everyone's going to see it like that, and that's okay.
Yeah, like you got to get comfortable with like cutting girls quickly that aren't showing you interest, and then moving on to girls that do, and then not internalizing rejections and getting mad at it. Because the thing is, guys, is that I'm just going to fucking say it. A lot of girls go out, guys, just to get free attention. Like, they don't give a fuck. They already made up in their mind when they were getting dressed that night, I'm not talking to no dudes. I don't give a fuck. I'm here to take Instagram stories, show clout, get into some dude's table, and fucking sit down and not have to chill, and not have to stand on my heels all night. That's what I'm going out to do. And you need to be good and deliberate in being able to identify these types of women and cutting them immediately and moving on to girls that are there to socialize and have fun. Because make no mistake, guys, a lot of girls go out simply to validate their own ego and to get attention from guys. Clout, sorry. For the international guys in here, clout means like getting some type, like getting social fame. Because like a lot of girls have... Sorry, go ahead.
It means that here as well, but there's a double meaning, because it's also sometimes used as a slang word for a woman's private parts. So it's quite funny when you say it.
Okay, yeah, we're talking about social, like getting social media thing, because like a lot of girls live for their IG story and live for their Snapchat. So they do cool shit just to like create this illusion of like a cool life or whatever, and they'll go with that in their mind. So you need to be able to like identify these chicks and like fucking cut them immediately. Because like you'll notice, you'll be out and you'll see girls like taking a hella pictures, asking Sims to take pictures. If a girl ever asks me to take a picture of her at the club, I say no every single time. You don't do that shit, because then that's low value behavior. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You let her take a picture of you or whatever, but I actually reject them. So so yeah, man, you just got to identify the attention seekers and then like steer clear of them. Or if you do talk to one and you could tell she's like not into, she's just there to take pictures and all that other shit, you just leave and move on to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, it bears repeating, because you've said it already. Night game is not necessarily the most efficient way of getting girls. Yeah. That's another thing that that's the meta point that guys need to bear in mind here. I mean, there is a lot of hassle with it in some ways, but it can also be incredibly fun. I've always enjoyed it. I've always loved it.
So
I'll give the conversation now. I'm sort of thinking I'd like to go out.
I'll give the plus and negative. So when night game, guys, the reason why it's so good is because you're going to find the highest concentration of attractive women in one place where you can talk to them, right? That's why night game is good for that. But the caveat is a lot of these women are there for, like I told you, ulterior motives. And then the negatives are, there's a lot of negatives. You got to pay money, cover, drinks, loud music, fucking hating ass bouncers, right? I'm actually banned from one of the top clubs here because they didn't like that I used to go there to just game, and I'd never like it's like kind of like a strip club, and I would never go to like pay for dancers. I would always go to like meet the girls there, right? But anyway, so that's basically like the negatives of night games. So like you need to be able to identify these obstacles that you have, circumvent them the best you can, and put yourself in a position to win. So like going to like, for example, a terrible place to game is like going to like what I would call like a fucking drug den, a drug den type club, like Club Space, for example, here in Miami. Like I don't fucking go there because everyone goes there to just do cocaine and be on some degenerate shit. And the girls that you are going to meet there typically are going to be like lower quality. They're going to be like drugged down and stuff. You don't want to deal with girls like that. So I don't go there. So and places like that typically are not good to go if you're trying to meet like higher quality girls or just in general have a better time. So so that you got to put yourself in a position where like you're going to a bar where the music isn't too loud, the bouncers aren't fucking haters, it's not too expensive. So you put all these things put these things into your filter and figure out the best venue to go that's conducive to your success. A lot of times failing at night game is just bad planning on your part where you picked a place that was too logistically far, too expensive. Maybe there's not enough attractive women that go there, whatever it may be. So you want to always, the things that you can control, you want to definitely optimize them the best you can, because night is inherently a low return on investment.
Although, like you said, that there are benefits to it, and there is obviously this benefit of all these attractive women in one place, which is a huge benefit because people go on about day game and how great day game is. But the reality of the matter is that unless you're somewhere like Ukraine, where everyone's genetically looks really, there's a lot of very attractive people there. Yeah. If you're wandering around in London, I mean, there are some very attractive women in London, but you know, it's not like the streets are paved with them. You could be wandering around for ages before you see somebody that you think, I want to approach her. Whereas when you're in the club, there is this greater concentration. So that's an advantage. But the other thing I'd say about night game is that, yes, it's difficult. And yes, there's a lot of hassles to it and everything else. But it is still socially acceptable for people to meet and get together in a nighttime environment and then go home together that same night. I mean, that happens quite a lot. Yeah, so sure. you're not pushing against the tide. You know, when you go to a nightclub, that is a perfectly possible and legitimate thing that could happen, and everyone knows that who goes out, right? So
absolutely, you just have to be aggressive about making it happen. Is the thing.
Exactly. Whereas when you do day game, and it's not to say that doesn't happen through daytime approach either, but like it's less likely, right? Because you've still got to get over the hump of, well, it's a bit weird that we just met in H&M. That's kind of a bit crazy. That doesn't normally happen. Yeah. And then, oh, do you want to come back to my place? Is usually a bridge too far. Do you know what I mean? So night game does have these advantages if you can tough it out and sort of like, you know, just man up and get through a lot of the crap. Then you're in a good position later on in the evening to get the result that you want. Actually, somebody earlier was asking about alcohol, by the way. And I actually did a stream yesterday just talking all about alcohol and pulling girls when you're drinking and all that. We touched on this in one of the webinars, didn't we? Yeah. I mean, what's your... Do you drink much when you go out? What's your sort of feeling on that?
So I'll, you know, there's some nights where I won't drink at all. And if I do, you know, I keep it to like a buzz. I try not to get like absolutely wasted, like unless it's a special occasion with a friend, which that's happened before. But in general, you know, I typically, even at my like most intoxicated state, I know what's going on. I'm not like blacking out and stuff like that. You don't want to do that, guys. You always want to be in a position where you know what's going on. You're not like, you know, getting violent or doing any stupid shit, getting in trouble. Like you always want to be in a fun, happy social state. So you don't want to get like super obliterated. That's never a good move. If you do like to drink, get a buzz and just keep it there, man. Don't get wasted.
Yeah. And the other thing we should emphasize actually is that your approach to this, which I think is the correct one. You've said it already actually, but you're not there to get numbers or contact details. This is you go out and you are looking for somebody who's DTF, who's up for some action on that same night. You're not messing around trying to get contacts or anything like that. So it's very tunnel vision. It's very much like, right, I'm going to be out as long as it takes to meet that girl who is interested in taking this further tonight, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can go out and number collect, but what if the thing is that when you number collect, you're going to have to invest more into interaction for the number to not flake. Because the thing with night game is that when you collect numbers during night game, what I've noticed, at least here in Miami, and maybe it might be a little bit different in London, the girls don't value the interaction that much. They just think, oh, it's just a fucking club guy or a bar guy. I'm not gonna fuck this. You know what I mean? And they'll like flake on the number. So for me, I just don't do it because it's just, I've just noticed that it's not conducive to success. So I'd rather just screen out girls like that. But there's nothing wrong. I've done it before where I met a girl at the bar and just logistics weren't good. She was there with her friends, whatever it may be. And I got her number and we went on a date and we ended up like dating for a bit. So it can be done. Just that like the thing that the consequence of collecting numbers is you're going to have to start making the interactions more memorable, and you're going to have to invest more time so that she doesn't look at the number as like, oh, this is just a low quality fucking club guy. So yeah, that's what I would say about that.
It is still doable. I mean, I met my girl like that actually. We met in a club and I got her number, and and we met up and we went out on a date, and then the rest is history. So you can
definitely meet cool girls at night. Like there's like a negative stereotype, like you met her in a club, oh, she's probably fucking low quality.
She's low quality.
Now, dude, you can meet them anywhere, man. You know, like you can't have stigma about how you source. You just got to do it.
Yeah, exactly. But so I think when people say, oh, numbers don't work from clubs or bars and stuff, I don't think that's entirely true. But I do think it's true that things are much more fast moving now. So that in general, if you're not getting action on that first night, or you're at least like pushing in that direction, then you're probably going to lose out because she's got so many options. She's going to go home and she's looking at her Tinder, she's looking at her Instagram, whatever else it is, and she's going to get distracted by that, and she's maybe not even really going to remember you from
if you're going to number collect. So there's two ways to go about it. You can do like, all right, I'm just looking for like a girl tonight, or you can like go number collecting. Now if you're going to go number collecting, which that's a viable strategy too. I don't knock guys that do that, but you're going to have to collect a lot of numbers because the flake rate, if we're to break it down in numbers, let's say you get 30 numbers, right? Let's cut half of those already. Probably won't even respond to your first text. Then another 5 or another, like the other 15 respond. 5 of them are probably not even, are going to, end the conversation after 2 texts. Another 3 might get on the phone with you and like actually set up a date. And then like by the time it's all said and done, you'll probably be able to get only 1 or 2 of them on an actual date. So then you can go the number route. Just understand that like you're going to have to invest more in each interaction so that the numbers don't flake, and you're going to have to do more volume. And it's just a little bit more of a pain in the ass. Like a number close, as they would call it, doesn't have the same value as it did 20 years ago. You know what I mean? When Mystery was running around doing his stuff. Because social media wasn't around. And the cold hard reality for you guys is that women have more options now than ever before. So, the days of like, oh, I get a number, let me wait a week. You can't do that shit no more. You got to hit her up immediately because she's going to forget about you, because like girls are getting offered fucking getting offers from dudes all over the place. And if she's hot, dude, blue check mark, athletes, all these guys are hitting her up. So it's just, you got to be quick. Like as John always says, time kills all sales. So, you can go the number collecting route. It's just that like you're gonna have to put some more work in, and you're gonna have to like deal with like more flakes because just meeting. Yeah.
Having said that, if you come across in the face-to-face interaction as a high quality guy, and this is sorting out all your other stuff. So this means sorting out your fitness, sorting out your fashion, sorting out your, even things like your money and your lifestyle, all that sort of stuff. If you're working on that stuff and you've got that stuff down, she is going to remember you. I do believe that because I've had interactions with girls where I've met them, and I've met the girl like say, you meet a girl and you have to exchange numbers or you exchange Instagrams, and then, you can't do anything because like logistically or whatever. I mean, I've had girls that I've met like a year ago for like 2 minutes, literally. And she's given the number and she's still in contact because it makes an impression, right? So
on that.
Yeah.
What I do is what I'll do is if I know it's going to have to be a number close, I'll take a selfie with her. I'm like, hey, come here. And then I'll take a selfie with her, and then I'll save her contact, and then I'll send her a picture of us together the next day or whatever. Hey, it's MYRON from whatever. and then I'll send her a picture and she'll remember that, and that'll bring back like positive, like she'll see that picture and it'll bring back like positive memories of when she met me. So that helps if you're going to number collect to do that. And just send her that picture like the next day if you want to set up a date or get the interaction going, because then a lot of guys aren't doing that. So that's one thing that I've done before. But
and you're big on the video calls. You're big on the video calls as well, aren't you?
Yeah, man. Like
solidify it.
Yeah, so like if you're gonna, to me, I feel like a big way to like kill flakes, especially like with online dating, which we were talking about in pandemic pickup, is you definitely want to get a phone call, preferably a FaceTime call if you can do it, because like it makes it more human, and it makes it like she's gonna know that there's like a real person on the other end of the phone, that if she flakes, that it's gonna it's gonna make her feel a little bit more guilty. Because like, let's face it, the reason why dating coaches are making so much goddamn money right now is because the flake rates are astronomical. You know what I mean? Like as women's options have increased with social media and online dating apps and everything like that, the flake rate has followed right there with it. You know what I mean? So, so to minimize that flake rate, like, I think phone calls are like, I keep it short, somewhere between 10 to 20 minutes, no more than that. I make sure I get off the phone first. And I talk with her on the phone, whether it be FaceTime preferably. If not, then like a voice call works. But yeah, that's huge too.
Awesome stuff. Shane's just asked a question here. What's the 1.6 calculation? I'm not quite sure what he means by that. Do you know what he means by that?
So he's Shane, with the 1.6 calculation, that basically means like your shoulders are 1.6 times wider than your waist. So my math sucks, but like, let's say you have a 32-inch waist, 32 inches. That means 32 times 1. That means you would want your shoulder width to be about 51.2.
Yeah.
To create that aesthetic V taper for the purpose. So they've shown basically in the studies that the women found the most attractive physique to be 1.62 to be exact, but I just say 1.6 ratio of shoulder to waist. So 32-inch waist, nice. About 51, a little over 51 inches on the shoulder width.
Nice. Cool. Well, listen, we've been on for an hour and 40, so it's been quite a long show.
This is a great stream, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I really enjoy picking your brains on both of these issues, really. But the night game stuff is just loads of fun to talk about for sure. And hopefully, at some point, I'll be able to get over to Miami and we can
absolutely,
bro.
You're real life. Anytime, bro. Next time what we could do is we could talk about table game, because that's a whole other thing. I broke that down. I did a 9-hour webinar on pandemic pickup where I broke down exactly how to run a table and everything like that, so you don't get fleeced. But that could be we could definitely.
Do you still do any table game over there, or is it something you would potentially do, or are you have you retired from it now?
Yeah. So here's the thing. I rarely get tables because it's basically, you're like, night game's already fast, like table game is even faster. And the thing with table game is you got to go with like adept wings. So like what I've learned is that, like, I don't want to sound cocky, but like, I don't trust a lot of guys to run table game with me. I just wouldn't do it because they're going to make fucking huge mistakes. Like I would run table game with like you or John, like guys that I trust that I know, like they know what the fuck they're doing. But like most guys are going to simp out and give free drinks out like idiots and shit like that. And that's like, we could totally do a whole podcast just on that. But like, yeah, it's a big fuck up. But I would only do it with guys that like know what they're doing.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting to do that, actually, if you fancy coming back, and we'll do a show on that. The other thing, of course, is online game, because we haven't really touched on the stuff that you were talking about in pandemic pickup, which is the dating apps, et cetera, and that is a massive piece of the puzzle, but that's a huge subject in itself. So
for sure, I'd be happy to come back, Troy, anytime, man.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Phone calls or FaceTime? That's an interesting one. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so you want her to have anxiety, guys. Like a girl being anxious or having anxiety when she talks to you, you want that. And the reason why is because you never want her to know where she stands with you. You know what I'm saying? Like women are emotional creatures when it comes to like, dealing. When it comes to the confinements of a romantic relationship, they let their emotions dictate their decisions. So her having a little bit of anxiety when she talks to you is good. You want her to, basically, her perception is her reality. So if she sees you as high value, she's going to be a little bit more worried when she talks to you or when she interacts with you, which is exactly what you want. You want her to think twice before she does anything stupid or anything like that, because that's a term of, fear comes from respect. I hate to say it like that, but fear is derived from respect. So you want her to be a little bit anxious when she talks to you. Now, some girls will like make an excuse like, oh, I look like crap right now or whatever. Fuck it. Just do the FaceTime call anyway. Or if she doesn't want to do that, then go ahead and do a regular voice call. But there's nothing wrong with her being a little anxious to talk to you. That shows that you're high, that she views you as high status, which is a W.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right, listen. So, we'll definitely do another stream at some point soon, if you're up for that, and we'll talk about one of these things. The table game sounds really interesting for sure, though, so it'd be good to touch on that. In the meantime, did you just want to remind the guys where they can find you, where they should sign up for your stuff, what you got coming up, etc., etc.?
Yeah, guys, my IG is UnplugFit, Twitter, Facebook. I post pretty much fitness content almost daily. That's informative with studies and all that stuff back. And then my website is unplugfitnesslife.com. There you can book a consult with me if you want to get personal coaching with fitness. I know some guys ask some questions about calories and protein. I would need to do a consult with you and figure that out because everyone is different. And yeah, guys, what else? Yeah, as far as projects, I'm going to be in John's Body Language Mastery course, helping him out with that. And giving guys help with, fitness and, game and all that other stuff. Self-improvement in general. And yeah, man, that's where you guys can find me. This was a great stream. Oh, and subscribe to my YouTube, guys, please. Unplugged Fitness. I just made it. I got a couple videos out there. And just started it. We're trying to make it to 1K subs. So yeah, Unplugged Fitness. Please sub, like, and comment.
Definitely do that. Definitely do that. His info is awesome. But now getting a flurry of extra questions in. I guess Sam's talking about when you're on the phone to her, is he? What do you think about this?
Yeah, go ahead and pay full attention. If you want to subtly do something else to show that you're a busy guy, that's cool. The point is you want to make sure that you're not dragging the conversation. The point of the phone call is to kind of build a little bit more rapport, so she gets a little bit more invested, and then I treat the phone call kind of like an interview, which we can do. We could talk about that. Exactly
qualification.
Yeah, it's basically a qualification fest is what you're doing. So it's kind of like a sales call.
Yeah, so that's a good point. I think for the duration of the call, you can pay full attention. It's maybe a little bit try-hard to pretend that you're doing something else while you're on the phone to her, but at the same time, it's not like you're kowtowing to her. You are actually appraising her and seeing whether she's cool and she's worth you spending time with. Yeah. So I think that's a cool answer. And then, Josh, I'm not sure about this equipment. What's the best equipment you can buy that you didn't consider a scam? I'm not sure what form of equipment he's.
I'm assuming he needs the fitness stuff, probably.
Yeah.
As far as fitness gear, some squat shoes, a good weight belt, some knee sleeves. These are all things that will help you in your weight training career. Some Versa grips. These things will help you a lot with. I did a post on this on my Instagram of the tools I keep in my gym bag. I can definitely put that. I'll put it right now in the chat for you guys.
Yeah, follow him on Instagram because his stuff over there is pretty awesome as well in terms of just advice on all this kind of thing. So from my point of view, obviously, please do subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this content. It really helps me to grow the audience, to get more people on board so I can keep putting out free content for you. The other thing that I have to mention is that my new book project is called Renegade Dating Domination. Drops on Monday, the 15th of June, but it's available for pre-order now. So there's a link below. Click the link. You can pre-order that book project now, and you'll get a 25% discount on the full price. Now, what it is, it's 2 volumes of all of my best writing about game, dating, the dating marketplace, etc., etc. It's all of the classic Return of Kings stuff that I did, and it's all of the best articles that have now been archived on my site, realtroyfrancis.com. So it's there's over 400 pages of content. There's 150 articles. It's nearly 200,000 words. There's just a treasure trove of content all about all aspects of game, all aspects of dating, the sexual marketplace, everything. So it's open to now.
Troy's one of the best in the industry, man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Myron. That's great of you to say that. And yeah, guys, just jump on board. You get a discount at the moment while it's for pre-order, so click the link below. Anyway, listen, I am now going to call an end to the podcast. But Myron, thanks ever so much for coming on. It's been really awesome. Great to chat to you as always. I look forward to getting you on again soon, and we'll talk about some of these other issues that we've just touched the surface of.
Absolutely.
And yeah, we will say goodbye for now. See you again soon.
Later, guys. Peace.